Welcome to Renegade Thinkers Unite, a show that will help you transform your marketing from mere messaging to programs that break the rules and make a difference. Join the movement today and learn non-traditional techniques that give you an edge. Now, here's your Chief Marketing Renegade, Drew Nizer.
My guest today is John Ferrara, founder and CEO of Nimble, and if the sound isn't as good as it should be, it's because we are at the world headquarters of Nimble. And if you've never heard John speak about social sales and marketing, then you are in for a real treat because, as far as I'm concerned, he has no rivals in this area. He pioneered customer relationship management as co-founder of Goldmine back in 1989, which sold for a reported $83 million 10 years later. After outlasting his 5-year non-compete and several years as a VC or angel investor, I think you did some of that?
And a dad.
Yeah, and a dad. Oh, that's right. Right, as a dad. John took on social customer relationship management with the launch of Nimble back in 2008. Also, continuing working with Bill Carmody, who is going to co-interview with me today. So welcome to the show, John.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Bill. I'm super excited to be here today. I love nothing better than to get up on a soapbox and inspire and educate others. Because I think that's what we're on this planet to do, is to help other people grow. And if you can do that at scale, you can build a gold mine, and I know I did.
Well done. You might have said that before. I'm just guessing. But, Bill, thank you for being on the show again today.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks, Drew.
All right. So one of the things that we all live in this tech land and, you know, a bit of a bubble, and sometimes we use language that our parents don't understand. So if we talk about Nimble for a second, how would you describe it to your Aunt May, who is not as nimble as you are?
Well, Drew, I really believe that relationships drive everything on this planet. And that if you can identify people that matter, reach out and build relevant and authentic, pay-it-forward relationships, you can change the world. And so I think it's just getting harder and harder in today's over-connected, over-communicated world. And actually, I built Nimble because I had a problem. I couldn't manage all of the relationships that I was building through social media as I started to adopt it in 2008 and 2009. And I looked around at the contact tools and the CRMs that are out there, and I saw that contacts weren't really integrated with social, and CRM isn't about relationships. CRM stands for Customer Reporting Management, not Customer Relationship Management. And I like to joke that it's true. The reason they call it Salesforce, you have to force salespeople to use it. Nobody in their right mind would use a CRM if they weren't beat on to do it. And so I think that the thing that drives us all is the contacts we're connecting to, the conversations we're having, the activities that we're driving from that. And today, it's just getting harder and harder to manage. So I think we all want to be more nimble, and I've set out to build a team to help millions of people to do that around the world.
One question I have is that, LinkedIn spent a lot of time talking about the power of second and third connections. Mm-hmm. One of the things I love about Nimble is that you actually have integrated all of your social media profiles, and you start to see serendipity when you're actually looking to talk to somebody, because you can see exactly what they're focused on and what they're talking about. Talk to me about why you saw that as important in terms of integrating social media instances into the way in which people are communicating with their network.
Well, that's a great question. And ultimately, I think it's your job to do your homework before you ever meet with somebody, to know who they are and what their business is about. But it's really the softer things that bond and keep us bonded. In the old days, when I trained salespeople, I said, when you go into somebody's office, look at the walls, look at the books they read, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect. All these things are opportunities for you to discover things you might have in common with that person, to develop the intimacy and trust that you need in order to get that person to open up to you about their business issues, which as a professional you can then solve. And social is just a way to do it electronically at scale. So, the thing is a lot of people today say that, social is this whole new way of doing business and et cetera, et cetera. Social is just a new channel of discovery and conversation. But really, the concepts of business have been built on the shoulders of the greats, the Dale Carnegies, the Zig Ziglars, the Brian Tracy, the Stephen Covey. All of these people, Napoleon Hill, all these people taught us the basics, and it's the basics that wins games. And so social is a new channel of communication, but soon we won't be talking about social. It'll just be getting down to basics. And that's simple relationship management, nurturing relationships, staying top of mind. So when they do make a buying decision, they not only pick up the phone and call you, but they drag their friends with them.
So what I think is really cool about what you just said is that I know you practice what you preach. I was on the phone with you, and while we were talking, you went, "Oh, you went to Newport Harbor?" And we had a whole California conversation. And I was so impressed. I was like, you find that so quickly while we're just talking for the first time. Let's talk about how you built this business. And I had in my notes that you had over 100,000 users, or probably that number has grown, and I think you told me like 15,000 paid subscribers. That's a lot. Let's talk about how you grew the business and some of the key steps that you took along the way.
Well, the way that we're building Nimble is not dissimilar to the way that we built Goldmine. If you think about it, Nimble was super early to social business and social selling that we helped invent. In 2009, when we started the company, in 2010, when we released our first alpha and beta in 2011 and 12, people were using Facebook to hook up with their high school sweethearts and LinkedIn to get a job. They didn't really understand that social is changing the way people make decisions, the way we build our relationships, etc. And so how do I not only build my own brand, but also build the company brand? Think about it. I've been out of technology for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I was a dad for 10 years. 10 years is a long time to be out of tech. And so nobody really knew who I was or what my background was. And so I had to go and rebuild my brand and build the Nimble brand. And because I don't believe in advertising, I never really advertised much. I think it's more powerful when other people talk about you than when you talk about you. And so what I did is I set up to figure out who is the trusted advisor or my core prospect who would be buying Nimble. And the way we built Goldmine back in the day, which that essentially was the precursor to Nimble, was we identified the key influencer of our core constituency. Back in the day, it was the Novell network reseller, because they sold the highway, that network, to that small business, and we had the first networkable business application right on top of that. And I cold called all the top Novell resellers in the country, and I got them to use it because people sell what they know and they know what they use. And that got us our first $50,000 a month in revenue, and we never had to take a dime of venture. So we started Goldmine on $5,000, never took a dime, and when we sold it, we had about 5 million customers around the world. And so in taking Nimble to scale, what I did is I started swimming in the social river, and I found content that inspired and educated me about how to be better, smarter, faster at social sales and marketing. And I started to share their content and hashtag it appropriately, pound sales, pound marketing, pound social, and attribute their name. Now what this did is it attracted the audience of that influencer. It attracted people looking to be better, smarter, faster at those hashtag categories, social sales and marketing. But it also attracted that person. And so once that influencer who wrote that content reached out and thanked me, I then reeled them in and started a conversation. But I didn't start that conversation by telling them how great my products and services are, how great I am. I nimbled them before the meeting. I prepared for the meeting. But most importantly, I asked simple questions, and I shut up, and I let them talk.
So the thing about social selling is a lot of people use the same word and they mean very different things.
Yeah.
So I want to recap exactly what you just said, because I think it's important to reiterate, which is, number one, you didn't go out there and just try to hawk a product or service. You looked to add value first. The very first thing I heard you say was you took content that you thought was brilliant and you sort of shared it out to your network. You found something that was of value that you could share out to, and then when they came and thanked you, that's when you hooked them in and brought them through. So help me understand the way you define social selling. Go a little bit deeper based on what you just described as an example, so that when people think of the words social selling, they have a very clear picture of what you mean.
You bet. But I am going to want to come back to the strategy of how do you build a global brand at scale without advertising by doing influence and relationships. So social selling, people talk a lot about it today, and they say that, you go to somebody's LinkedIn profile and you look them up and then you beat them up with things you have in common. Yeah, but nah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that LinkedIn to me is like walking in my lobby of my business. It's my business persona.
Yeah.
And if you just walk in my lobby without having added any value to me at all or just cold calling me, you're not going to start a relationship that way.
Yeah.
And so if you think about the concept of social selling, bring it down to the basics. I think service is the new selling. That the more people you could outgrow, the more you'll grow. And if you enter in a relationship with the intent of discovering how you might help that other person become better, smarter, faster, not that you're trying to sell them something, but you actually want to serve that person, even if it means recommending somebody else's product, that's social selling. I think the whole concept of selling is changing from a four-letter word to something that is really more about paying life forward.
That's a perfect place for us to take a quick break. And, I have to say that, service is the new selling. It sounds a lot like marketing as service, which any listener of this show knows I say a lot, that marketing can actually have value. And I think that's what John was talking about. So we'll be right back.
You've been listening to another great interview on Renegade Thinkers Unite with Drew Neiser. But the value doesn't end there. As a listener, you can download a free ebook from Drew, Renegade Thinkers, interviews with 11 trailblazing CMOs any business can learn from, top marketing thought leaders and proven executives from Time Warner, American Express, and Chico's, and others. Get your free copy at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook. For listeners only, at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook.
Okay, we're back with John Ferrara, CEO and founder of Nimble, or maybe founder and CEO of Nimble. Do you have a preference on that?
No.
Not really. Okay. And what we want to dig into now is how do you grow a business at scale without spending $1 on advertising?
So ultimately, for you to be successful as a business person or as a business, you need to be top of mind with your prospect customer and ideally their influencer too. Mae West said it best, out of sight is out of mind, and out of mind is out of money, honey. So how do you stay top of mind in our overconnected, overcommunicated world? I've got 5 E's for that. You educate, enchant, engage, embrace, and empower your customer. And the best way to do that is to give your knowledge away. Now imagine, Drew and Bill, if you gave away knowledge about how other people become better, smarter, faster at marketing and branding, do you think that nobody will call you anymore, that they just do it themselves?
No.
Most business people are so busy doing whatever it took to get in business, to stay in business, that they can't step outside their business and look at their problems and processes and go find solutions, especially around social sales and marketing. And so the best thing you can do as a business person is give your knowledge away. And, every day you wake up, if you're passionate about what you do, you're consuming more knowledge. Just give it away. As you see it, share it. So that's the way that I built the Nimble brand, is by identifying influencers, sharing their content, engaging with the people that responded, and engaging with those influencers as they responded, and turning them into evangelists. And then essentially that scaled our brand and my brand and the company brand and helped us scale it without advertising.
I am so passionate about this topic, about giving it up for free. It's actually it's the title of my next book. So you're right on top. I can't even tell you how excited I am to hear you say those words. The number one thing most businesses fear is their secret sauce, their intellectual property. They don't want to give any of that up for free. They think it's all something that they have to protect with a giant moat and gates and electric fences, where you're saying just the opposite, which is my total belief, which is the more you give up for free, the more valuable the things you give up for free, the more people are going to say, hey, that's awesome. Can I hire you to do it? I now understand exactly what you mean. Can you do it for me? And that's one of the things, like, I was first really amazed when I saw, like, mechanics on YouTube showing you exactly how to take apart your engine piece by piece, part by part, painstakingly document their entire process. Mm-hmm. And the initial thought, my gut reaction was, oh my God, if you just showed me how to do this, wouldn't I do it? And then I thought, no, idiot, I have no time to do any of this stuff. And so you're just proving to me that you're a freaking expert. And now I'm going to go hire you to do that. So you're basically saying, make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth, this is what every business should be doing, is figuring out what their most valuable asset is and giving it for free. Is that correct?
I think that if you give away enough knowledge, that you will set yourself up as the trusted expert, and that they will hire you to do those things. And that's what content marketing is. And content marketing is nothing new. So there's a company that made powdered milk in the 1800s called Defender Milk. And they essentially collected letters from moms who wanted to learn how to feed their babies better with powdered milk. And they collected all that and built a book out of it. And that book became the bestseller above the Bible at that time.
Wow.
And that company became dominant in the industry. Today, that company is known as Glaxo Wellcome.
There you go. I've got a zillion other examples of that. I mean, the Michelin Guide is a great example. You got tires, we got to get people to go driving, and so the Michelin brothers, they decided to create guides so that so people would take road trips. And if you drive more, you use the tires, and that is a business now. And you may not have known this. The Guinness Book Records was also a content marketing thing because they wanted to give people in pubs something to talk about, and then that became a business. So that's these are great, and I've been researching this area of cognitive bias. You're obviously preaching to the converted here, so we're both nodding our heads and saying, yeah, give it away. But at some point, you need to actually get some money out of customers to pay for salary and overhead. How did you, after networking with all these folks and getting the Brian Kramers, who was one of the guys that connected us, to talk about, how did you get from from non-paying to paying customers and make that conversion?
Well, first off, about giving things away. I have an acronym for that. I like to say, if you teach people to fish, they'll figure out you sell fishing poles. But ultimately, if we started teaching social selling and social business and social marketing when we started the company, but if you teach people that to grow your business, you need to build your brand and help your team members build their brand, so that then builds the company brand. If you're doing that properly, you're going to drive so many eyeballs to your door. You need to start managing those relationships, right? And so we're teaching them to fish, content, social. Now you need the fishing pole. And so they essentially go, okay, well, great. You guys sell this great tool that helps me build and nurture relationships at scale. And so we started by giving it away, and people started using it and talking about it, and then we turned our paywall on, and people started to consume it. And so ultimately, if you build a tool that delights customers enough at scale, and we essentially build popcorn for business people, you can convince them that if they put up $10 or $15 a month, that they could get 10 times that amount in value. And so we started to turn our paywall on and started generating revenue.
So, and I'm a user, and I'm a paid customer of this thing, and so thank you for the tool. One of the things that I struggle with, as a lot of people do who are busy managing personal brands and company brands, and in my case, multiple brands, is time and investing the time to take advantage of the tool. How do you sort of encourage and help your customers? Because if they're not using it, if they're not spending the time, they're not getting the value.
Sure.
So how do you sort of, once you got them hooked, and now they're paid customers, they still got to use it. How do you make sure that they keep on it and keep? Because I know you keep adding things to it as well. How do you make sure that they're using it?
Well, I think that you need to provide immediate value, whatever you're building and delivering to a customer. So they from day one, they go, aha. And so I believe the biggest cause of failure most here on this is lack of use. Because you work for them, they don't work for you. You have to Google somebody before a meeting. You have to go log what you know. Then you go and engage in email and social and log what you did. 60% of your time is wasted looking up and logging stuff. And that's what Nimble fixes. And so we layer on top of what you already have, the primary things in your business, which is email, contact, and calendar, and social. So today, your operating system of your business is either Office 365 or Google Apps will work. And so that's the foundational cloud email, contact, and calendar. We take that data, unify it, give you what's missing, which is the Outlook. You don't have a contact tool in either of those platforms that unifies it all. And then what's missing? The goldmine, the simple sales and marketing. But most importantly, when we first built Nimble, we thought you'd live in it like you used to live in Outlook and Goldmine. But in reality, we all live in 6 different tabs in our browsers and 3 different apps on our desktop. And so we then said, well, we're going to build the first relationship manager that works for you by building itself and then works with you wherever you work, because you want context and insights on contacts and companies wherever you are, in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Foursquare, Google+, Crunchbase, AngelList, and Snapchat.
Right. Nice.
And here's the thing, and again, this was not meant to be a commercial for Nimble, but the coolest aspect of it, if you're on LinkedIn and you have the Nimble plugin, you'll roll over and you'll see a person, then you'll see their whole social profile will populate, and then you could quickly add, was this right? And you add their Twitter handle, and so it does simplify things. The only thing that you don't do is force me at 5 p.m. to say, hey, Drew, 15 minutes on Nimble. It's like, I need you to have a permanent calendar appointment with me with a commitment, and then I get a gold star or some other sort of Pavlovian thing to get me to do this. It's that reminder. Now, you do give me a daily email, which that also helps.
We're actually building an onboarding process that gamifies and rewards you for doing certain steps that we've seen that create successful users. And so we definitely are building the onboarding and in-app education to transfer the best of breed knowledge from our top successful people so that everybody can practice those best practices.
That's very cool. Now, we're getting at the point that I can hear Kevin saying, hey, Drew, sort of wrap it up. And I am concerned that there's way too much knowledge sitting at in this couch in Nimble office to say that we're only going to do one episode. So I'm going to suggest we do a second, John, but I'm going to attempt to summarize the first one, which is easy and extremely hard at the same time. So here we go. We are still in a world where individual relationships matter. And as we build these individual relationships, we need tools to help us to sort of manage them on a broad level. I think I looked at my LinkedIn contact list and it was over, we're approaching 4,000. It's an impossible number to sort of keep up with. So one of the things that has blown me away by what John was doing, and this is something to think about, probably the biggest priority, who are the biggest influencers in your category and how can they help you grow your business? And I think John has nailed that. He's done it twice. It seems to be a proven model. So if you have one takeaway from this episode, it's don't think about your customer. Think about the people who can influence your customer and how you can help those people and engage with those people to help you get where you want to go. So, John, this is a terrific episode. I want to thank you for being on Renegade Thinkers Unite.
Thank you, Drew. I absolutely believe what you just said has already been proven. To access prospects and customers at scale, don't think about marketing to them. Think about identifying their trusted advisor, their influencer, and build relationships with them and help those people succeed. But isn't this what the networking groups used to do? Isn't this what the what do they call that? The thing of the community, the
Rotary Club, right?
Rotary, yeah. All these things were exactly that. But today we're not doing that in our small village. We're doing that globally at scale. And you can do that if you're more nimble.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's a great place to wrap up. Bill, thanks again for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks, Drew.
Okay. There you have it. We'll stay tuned because there may be a second episode.
Renegade Thinkers Unite is brought to you by Social Media Explorer, the website that explores the world of social media from the inside out. Great advice from today's leading social media columnists and experts at socialmediaexplorer.com. That's socialmediaexplorer.com.